gradually, and he is able to see Asat, the difference between Asat and Sat clearly. So he attains that Shanti. So, what is that which is stopping a person from contemplating and from this peace? So, there was a very interesting article in Tatvaloka where, remembering Bhagavad Pada, Sri Shankara Bhagavad Pada says there are 6 types of waves that we are trapped into, which is the samsara sagara. So this is known as Shadurmis, and he talks about Janana, Marana, which affect our gross body. Then we have Shut and Pipasa, that is hunger and thirst, that which sustains the prana, that is the life force. And then we have very two important last two waves, which are Shoka, which is sorrow, and Moha, which is delusion. These two affect our minds. This is what it says. So Shoka includes fear that affects our mind due to non-fulfillment of desires. And also very interestingly, Moha, which generates desires, which generates attachment to different impermanent materialistic objects, the anitya vastu. This is the cause for shoka. So this is what this samsara sagara is all about. And anybody who battles constantly in these 6 waves and identify oneself with this anatma will obviously get more and more drowned into this samsara sagara. So what is the way out? And this mention of moha, delusion, has been come across in Bhagavad Gita 62nd shloka, 63rd shloka, where it says, Krodhat bhavati sammohaha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. And interestingly, the same buddhi has been repeated in the 65th shloka as well, where prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasyopajayate prasanna chetaso tyashu buddhif paryavatishtate. The person who has to establish himself in this knowledge has to have that clear understanding. He has to be a yukta, which is that he is firmly established in this knowledge of the self. And probably that's the reason here nididhyasana, because it happens only through shravana, manana, and nididhyasana. Nididhyasana has been emphasized upon. And interestingly, there's one more article by Professor Krishnamurti where he mentions about, because the previous shloka is talking about prasanna chetas. So how do you keep your mind, chetas, prasanna? He says chitta has 13 components, and the thoughts which come in chitta, the vasanas are created because of these 13 components. And the two important, which are positive components, are shraddha and bhakti. The remaining are your kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, then raga, dvesha, irshya, asuya, damba, and garva. So for nididhyasana, because we are caught in the waves of this samsara sagara, the vasanas are driving us in all directions, that which makes our thoughts very turbulent. Shraddha and bhakti is the method which one has to adopt in the shastram and in the guru, because guru he acts like a mirror for you to see your ignorance and come out of it. He says, use shraddha and bhakti so that chitta prasadanam happens. Again, Patanjali also emphasizes upon that in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, where he says, there is an important shloka in the Samadhi Pada, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanas Chitta Prasadanam. If you want Chitta Prasadanam, you have to be happy towards people who are friendly, Maitri towards Sukha. I mean, friendly towards Sukha, and Karuna, compassionate towards people who are suffering Dukha, and mudita, very joyful towards people who are doing punya, and upeksha, indifference towards apunya. This is what even Patanjali has given the techniques to make sure that the chitta is um, kept in away from turbulence. So based on all these, facts and scriptures, we can conclude that Shanti is attained by Chitta Prasada. And for Chitta Prasada, a person's buddhi has to be established well in the self and use Shraddha and Bhakti as the tool. And then Nididhyasana will happen to a Yukta who will attain this peace ultimately, and that everlasting happiness which is his nature, will reveal to him. Thank you so much, Guruji, for giving me an opportunity to talk on this subject. And thanks for a very patient hearing. I hope people take it with lightly and don't forget the teachings of Guruji and get confused. Thank you so much.
Guruji, you're muted. You muted.
Yeah. So Meeraji was talking about shloka number 66 in the second chapter. Nasti buddhi rayuktasya, acha yuktasya bhavana, etc. So very important shloka, and she connected it with a few other shlokas also. So dhyayate vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat samjayate kama. So yeah, it's all connected. Everything is connected. So like spaghetti. So it's very interesting. This whole subject is interesting that way, right? And so good. Yeah, we presented it very well, Viraj.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
you brought Patanjali Sutras there also. So good.
Thank you so much.
Who would like to be next?
Yeah, Divyaji. You can unmute Divyaji.
Am I audible now?
It could be better.
Okay.
So I think if you keep the microphone close to your mouth, probably it will.
This is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So, namaskaram, everybody. So I think even my thoughts are in similar lines, just like Meeraji said. For me also, it was very difficult to pick a particular shloka from this. I think all are gems, all the shlokas are gems, and from this important chapter like Sankhya Yoga, to pick just one shloka and speak about it. And again, gaining confidence to speak in front of all of you and tell about my understanding, that I had to gain confidence for that as well. But anyway, thank you so much for this, giving me this chance. And I should say that I took the logic from Maheshji, just like he was saying, the teaching of the shloka, which was important for me and which I was able to connect instantly and which I can apply now right away in the daily life. That is what I have picked up. So I'm going with shloka number 38, which says, Sukha dukke same kritva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddhai yujjasva naivam papam avapsisi. So if I go by the direct translation, it is saying, taking pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat to be the same, prepare for the battle. Thus you will gain no sin. So, but this is a very important shloka because this comes at a transition phase wherein Krishna is switching from one phase of his teaching to another phase. So if we go by in chapter 2, we look at it from verse number 11 to verse number 30. Krishna is actually unfolding the true nature of Atma. And by unfolding this true nature of Atma, Krishna is trying to persuade Arjuna to take up this fight. And he says, like, when you actually know this true nature of Atma and one who is equipped with this particular knowledge, you ought not to have grief. Natvam shojitum arhasi, he repeatedly says this. Then he talks at a different level. He comes to the dharma and adharma point of view, and he tells Arjuna what would be the consequence if you don't take up this fight and if you don't do your duty. So again, by saying that, he tries to persuade Arjuna to take up this fight. He then switches his point of view and he talks from a social point and then says, Arjuna, you're going to lose your name and fame, and your enemies are going to talk about it if you don't do your actions. So like this different levels, Krishna is trying to persuade Arjuna to do his duty. But when it actually comes to shloka number 38, rather than telling him like do your duty, he's switching his point of view and telling him what should be the attitude of a person when he decides to do his duty. So whatever be the outcome of this action, whatever the outcome of performance of his duty, whether it is sukha dukha, labha labha, or for Arjuna, whether it is jaya jaya, and you should have the samatvam, or these words same kritve. This has a lot of meaning out here, because the same kritve is saying that whatever be the outcome, whatever this outcome of your actions, this opposite pairs for us, you should have you should look at it in the same way. That means you should have this balance of mind whenever you look at the results of your action. So we should not be carried away by these ragas and dveshas, or all our actions should be driven by the dharma and adharma, rather than getting carried away by raga and dvesha. And by saying this and by bringing in this concept of samatvam, Krishna in a very subtle way is introducing the concept of karma yoga. But by not taking the word yoga, and just like Guruji rightly said in the class, the word which Guruji used was Bija Rupa Karma Yoga. In a very subtle way, the Karma Yoga is being introduced. So, looking at this, the outcome of the action, that is just one part of the shloka. So even if it is Sukha Dukkha Labha Labha Jaya Jaya, once you have decided to take the outcome of the action as prasada buddhi, by being a karma yogi, the second part of the shloka says Yuddhayi Yujyasva to Arjuna, that is, be prepared for the battle, and for others, do what is to be done. So in every class, Guruji keeps repeating the same thing: do what is to be done, and take the result of the action with prasada buddhi, and so that naivam papam avapsyasi, so that you will not gain papa. So this shloka for me, it was very important because it emphasizes on having this balanced mind. And when you have this balanced mind without being carried away by raga and dvesha, then you are able to have that discriminative power of mind. You are able to think with viveka and take a wise decision, whatever be the outcome of it. So otherwise, I always used to look at it whenever I take any action, whether I'll be successful or not. All my decisions would be based on what is favorable for me at that particular point in time. But now maybe there's a shift in perspective. Rather than looking at it by making a favorable decision, which is maybe at that point in time, it might be favorable for me. But when I decide to do the right thing, take a dharmic decision, even if I have to walk an extra mile or maybe meet some extra obstacles on the way, I know whether the result is favorable or unfavorable. I need to take it with prasada buddhi. And in that way, I would be able to learn from the experience, grow as a maybe uh, that would be an enriching experience for me, and that is what I've learned. I think this is very important, especially during this crisis, this pandemic season, when it is very easy for all of us to get emotionally carried away by all the negative thoughts and negative news which is surrounding us. Have that balance of mind, think in a cool way, and take the wise decision, do what is to be right, what is to be done with the and taking the correct decision, so that all of us emerge from the situations as stronger human beings. So this has been very important for me. And I had read Puja Swamiji Dayananda Saraswati, when he says like success in life is nothing but the capacity to face success as well as failure in the same way. So that is a very important learning for me, which I came from this shloka. So thank you, Guruji. Thank you, because this is all these learnings are like it has empowered me and maybe helped me take better decisions in life. So thank you so much for being my guru and giving me this learning. I should actually thank others also, each and every one of you. It's not only from Guruji that I've learned, I think from the satsangs also the questions that would be asked in the satsangs are so thought-provoking and mind-blowing questions, and the discussions that follow after that. very enriching. It was actually many a times it has actually forced me to go back, listen to the recordings, and better my understanding. Whatever I would have understood during the class, uh, I'd given a different perspective when I attend the satsang and listen to the conversation which happened. So each one of you, all of you have helped me in this journey. It has been a blissful and meaningful journey so far. So I'm very happy to be part of this group. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good presentation on the Sukha Dukhe Samekritva, and it's a preparation. It's a really part of Karma Yoga, and having discussed the nature of Atma earlier, before he came to this, as you mentioned, transitioning to Karma Yoga, and so that attitude of accepting things as they are without judging and without reacting is such an important aspect. It doesn't mean you put up with everything. Okay, that's not the meaning of that. It means you have to do what you have to do. If you have to protect yourself, you have to protect yourself. You can't say it's raining, so I'm getting wet. No, if it's raining, you get an umbrella. So you do what you can do. Then take whatever comes as prasad. Good. And yeah, Acharya Paramadatte, only 1/4 comes from Acharya. What about the remaining 3/4, right? And so Padam Shishya Swamedaya. So your own effort you put, that is another 1/4. And then Padam Swa Brahmacharibhya. So another 1/4 comes from satsangs. The satsangs are very important. And I've always gained a lot from satsangs with Swami. I used to listen attentively. And everybody else's question is my question also, correct? Everybody else's question is my question. Either it didn't strike me, or it struck me, but I just didn't ask, or I don't know how to ask, or I'm a bit shy, whatever. So whatever reason is there. So everybody's question is my question. Therefore, satsang becomes very important. Good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Namaste everyone. Namaste Guruji. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me an opportunity to be in this class, because I'm a beginner, total beginner in this aspect, and this is my first experience to even learn something that is spiritual. So my talk would be very, 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 I think, very crude compared to. I'm not going to quote any shloka as such. I'm just going to talk about the overall understanding of the second chapter, that what caught my eye, or what I understood from in total. So I would like to start by saying that I think in the second chapter, Sri Krishna has actually given a cheat sheet, like what is called a cheat sheet in a gaming language, is like a code already giving as a solution to what you have to do in future. He has given an introduction to the whole thing, and he is very clearly, for me, because I'm very a beginner, what it caught my eye was I was able to understand what is the difference between the body, jiva, and atma, with with a lot of clarity on what are the absoluteness of atma, the nature, and he's described it so well in with so many adjectives. That was very interesting. Then also about the body mind intellect complex and how it works, and how we can use it to have clarity in our goal setting or our daily life. What is the importance of swadharma, and why we should be doing our dharma, and why not, the clarity on that. What exactly is karma yoga? Karma yoga in terms of actions, performing actions without being affected by the raga and dveshas. That was also something very interesting for me, and I understood it by going through it again and again. The classifications of the gunas and the relevance of it, because it is very well defined. Then about the Stita Prajna Lakshanam, how one can be rooted by using meditation, by trying to control one's senses, how senses can be so superficial, and how not to get affected by anger and desires, so that we have an unbonding of karma. I looked at it as something that we're trying to unbond from karma. So what we call as karma bandhanam prahasyase, there I was trying to understand it as something trying to unbond from the karma or the effects of karma. This is what I have to say, Guruji, nothing more than that. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, so chapter 2 has a lot to offer, and so you've chosen to highlight all those different aspects of chapter 2. And so if you thank me for the opportunity, then I also have to thank everybody else for the opportunity, because I can't teach without students. And so all of you have chosen to be here in this class after, for so many months now. And so I will take this opportunity to thank all of you as well. Thanks, Shalija. Shalija from Hyderabad. So she's very active in some of our Corona work and things like that. It's part of the RSS groups and so forth.
So, do we have time, Guruji, for one more? Or?
Yeah, sure. Why not? It's about 2-3 minutes to 8 o'clock. We have time. At least I have time.
Okay, then I don't have any other name, so I will present whatever I have understood. So, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So I'm just presenting a general understanding, because for me, chapter 2 was like an overall summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. This is what I understood. I've listened to it once. So from that, I understood second chapter is probably having almost everything from what Bhagwan is going to elaborate further in the subsequent chapters. So what I found very interesting after attending Guruji, your session was, I found Arjuna's role has been very, very crucial. If we can all be like Arjuna, meaning like, what I mean is he could have said, Krishna, bye-bye, I'm going, because he was so much caught up with grief, right? And on top of it, at one point, even Bhagwan tried to prick on his ego, saying this is unmanly and all that. Still, he stuck there and went through it. Now, we are all like Arjunas. We are all Arjunas going through the samsara, facing a lot of challenges, and all the raga, dvesha, moha, everything is happening. And lot of Bhagwans are coming on the way. Like Guruji, you have entered into our lives, giving us this knowledge. Now, if we are able to be like Arjuna and take those learnings and conduct our life based on what you're telling us, that is a big change, transformation that we can experience. This is what I felt. So Arjuna's role, I started really appreciating. Earlier thought process was, oh, Arjuna was scared and he wanted to run away. All those misconceptions were there, but those were totally gone. When I understood, I felt that we should be like Arjuna. Gurus are there. A lot of gurus come on the way and help us. Now, I also, so the way Arjuna did not let his emotions overpower him. He was caught up with a lot of emotions. He was mentally not very stable at that point in time, but still he patiently listened and understood every word that Bhagwan was saying and did what Bhagwan was saying. So that is, showed a great amount of trust between Bhagwan and Arjuna and Bhagwan. So that kind of a trust is also required in our life when some guru is coming or someone who is giving us that those teachings are coming into our life. That amount of trust is required. Only then that transformation can happen. Now, in this chapter, a lot of things are being told which might require a lot of changes in some set patterns within our life. Without changing those set patterns in our lives, things are not going to change. right? We can continue to say, yes, it was beautiful, all that intellectual comprehension can be there, but unless those things really become a part of our life, maybe baby steps, we can't do everything overnight, but baby steps if we take, then yes, changes can happen in our life. So this is something to ponder upon. So for me, attending Bhagavad Gita was not to learn shlokas or not to understand the story or nothing, but how to make those learnings a part of my life. This was my only objective of attending the program. And I have started making a lot of changes, because every information that comes to me, I feel there is some relevance of that coming into my life, and there is a change required. Otherwise, it wouldn't come to me. So I have tried to make a lot of change, good, bad, I don't know. But I'm making changes. I'm making changes and I feel good. At the end, I am feeling a lot more freer, a lot more happier than before. Though earlier, probably all the bank balance and possessions and pay packet was all better than what it is today. But I'm much more happier and much more freer than before. So that is one big thing. Then I loved the definition of karma yoga in this chapter 2. So I've felt that whenever I'm doing any action without thinking about the result of the action, I'm much more efficient. I'm feeling I'm much more efficient, and the result also is much more positive than what it was earlier. This is a real experience that I have seen in the last one and a half years that I have been attending with you, Guruji. I also like the definition of Sthita Prajna. Just imagining that state of equanimity, poised state itself is so blissful. I wonder how that state could be. Meaning, yeah, we all experience it at some point in time probably, but how to have that state throughout, no matter what is happening, all ups and downs will be there, but how to stay that equanimous state is something which I really liked. And I also remembered some Swamiji said, I don't remember who it is. He said, you have to observe your mind when it is flattered and shattered, how equanimous you are. When it is flattered and shattered, how can you stay poised? So that's stuck on for a long time. I don't know when I have heard it, but I always felt that whenever somebody flatters or things don't go well, how do we still stay the same? So that was most impactful and insightful part for me. And also the chakra that Bhagwan mentions in slokas 62 and 63, he says how that cycle leads you to total delusion or total downfall. So this is again, I feel very important, and maybe others might also agree. When these senses get in touch with sense objects, that is when the attachment is born, right? That is when the attachment happens. And from attachment is born desire, from desire, anger, and so on. And from anger, delusion, and from delusion, loss of intellect or memory, and then the downfall, total downfall starts. The mind becomes incapacitated and the person is destroyed. So this cycle, very important. So I try to always, good, bad, I don't know, but when that's the moment a sense object tries to catch my attention, I consciously, deliberately make an attempt to stay away from it, because it can be probably from the root itself. If you can avoid, that is a better way than trying to correct yourself after you have gone down the path. So that is one thing I have tried to start doing. Last but not the least, I like the shloka 71, where he says, if you follow what Bhagwan has said in this chapter, that is the secret to perfect permanent peace. And that is what we are all aspiring for. Permanent, perfect permanent peace, triple P. Somehow that's how I remember it. So to achieve that, these teachings in chapter 2 will help us to achieve that, which is the goal of every goal in life. Whatever that we are doing in life, I think, is to achieve that. So for me, it has been a very transformational experience, especially chapter 2 has been very, very impactful. So with this, thank you very much, Gurudev, for the opportunity, and I'm happy to be a part of this class. I'm learning a lot from all, especially Guruji. Thank you, Guruji. You're muted, Guruji.
Yeah. Good. So you are not only just attending the class, but also taking the messages which are which resonate with you, and then which give you opportunities to improve yourself, emotionally and otherwise, and improve your attitudes, No, attitude is such a thing, such an important thing in this. And so Sukha-dukkhe same kritva. So you also mentioned flattering and shattering, I think you said. So, so there is a shloka. Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni, like that in one of the chapter it comes. Okay. So Ninda and Stuti. Ninda is shattering. So insult. Somebody insults you. And then Stuti, somebody praises you. Aha, oh, you're the greatest guy. And nobody like you. So the wise person is somebody who considers these two as identical. Like that it is said. So yeah, you're right. So these are all attitudes. And attitude means as somebody who is learning, beginning to understand all this, we need to, these become important means for our own growth. And then afterwards, it becomes natural to us. And so happy that you're, taking these messages seriously, like everybody else, and finding ways to implement it in your life. Good.
Dhanyawad.
Okay, so we will pause with that. It's about 8:10 here now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amritakalashastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanathaye Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amritakalashastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanathaye Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amritakalashastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanathaye Shri Mahavishnave Namaha. Thank you.